Deep beneath our feet lie temples that defy everything we think we know about ancient history. These underground structures hold evidence of a forgotten science, one that could rewrite our entire timeline of human progress. By the end of this journey, you will see the ancient world through a completely new lens. We will explore how sound could alter consciousness in hidden Maltese chambers, and why massive stone boxes in Egypt align perfectly with distant stars. What single discovery about our past would truly surprise you? The silence inside the Hal Saflieni Hypogeum is not really a silence at all. It is a presence, a dense and waiting quiet that seems to absorb your breath. Then a whisper from across a shadowy chamber cuts through the darkness, arriving at your ear with a clarity that feels impossible. This underground labyrinth on Malta, carved from solid limestone over 5,000 years ago, is an acoustic puzzle. Its builders did not simply dig out rooms, they sculpted them with a purpose that modern science is only beginning to comprehend. The walls, ceilings, and strange, curved niches are not random. They are precision engineered to manipulate sound in ways that seem deliberate, even therapeutic. Archaeologists like Fernando Coimbra propose that these properties were central to the complex's function, used in rituals or for healing by harnessing specific sound frequencies. The architecture creates standing waves where sound energy builds upon itself, resonating at frequencies that can be physically felt. In the so-called oracle room, a deep voice spoken into a specific niche does not just create an echo. It generates a reverberation that seems to fill the entire space, a vibration that travels up from the stone floor and into your very bones. You can feel the sound as much as you hear it. This suggests the builders understood acoustics on a level we would consider advanced even today. They shaped stone to turn chant into a physical force, a tool that could potentially alter human consciousness. How did they achieve this without oscilloscopes or tuning forks? What kind of trial and error, or perhaps what kind of inherited knowledge, allowed them to map the behavior of sound waves within solid rock? This is not merely clever architecture, it is the application of a forgotten physics, a science of vibration whose true purpose is buried with its creators. Such flawless symmetry carved from a mountain speaks of a mind that saw the finished form within the raw stone. The Kailasa Temple at Ellora is not built but revealed, a single colossal piece of basalt transformed into a cosmic model. Imagine the audacity of its creators in the 8th century. They did not construct from the ground up, they commanded a legion of workers to climb the cliff top and begin carving downward. For generations, they removed over 200,000 tons of rock, not with explosives but with hammers and chisels. The result is a temple complex so vast and precise it defies belief. Every pillar, every staircase, every sculpted deity emerges from the living rock with a geometric perfection that feels almost machined. How could such a project be planned and executed without a single blueprint going awry? The answer may lie in a science that saw numbers and shapes as a sacred language. Historians like Dr. Michael Heiser point to the temple's alignments. Its main axis is not random. It is oriented to capture the sun's rays on specific days, like the solstices, turning the entire structure into a giant celestial calendar. The proportions of its towers and courtyards are believed to encode mathematical constants like pi and the golden ratio, ratios found in the spirals of galaxies and the growth patterns of leaves. This is not mere decoration, it is a form of encoded knowledge. Look closer at the carvings that cover every surface. They are not chaotic scenes, but a deliberate representation of Vedic cosmology, a universe built from geometric principles. The pillars are spaced with a rhythm that seems to mirror the distances between stars, and the entire layout possesses a fractal quality, where small details reflect the pattern of the whole. This same precision is echoed in other caves at Ellora, like the Indra Sabha, where spatial planning achieves a harmony that feels both artistic and scientific. This points to a standardized system, a shared body of knowledge that guided the hands of the sculptors. Were they using tools beyond simple chisels to achieve such laser-like accuracy on such a monumental scale? Or were they applying a forgotten science of vibration and resonance, a technology that made the solid rock itself more pliable? The Kailasa Temple stands as a silent testament to a vision that saw the universe as an intricate mathematical whole and dared to carve that truth into the heart of a mountain. Yet the mastery of carving stone and channeling sound is only one part of a larger picture. To truly understand the scope of this lost science, we must descend into a city built not of stone above, but of earth below. The Derinkuyu underground city in Cappadocia is a labyrinth of breathtaking scale, a multi-level metropolis carved deep into the soft volcanic rock. It is not a simple shelter, but a fully functional city complete with living quarters, churches, stables, and even wineries, all hidden beneath the surface. Its true marvel, however, lies in its invisible infrastructure. For centuries, this subterranean world sustained up to 20,000 people with fresh air and clean water, a feat of engineering that rivals the planning of any modern metropolis. The builders of the 8th century before the Common Era did not just dig holes, they engineered a self-sufficient ecosystem. Deep wells plunged over 100 feet to tap directly into the groundwater, ensuring a constant supply even during the longest sieges. A network of sophisticated ventilation shafts, some stretching to the surface, created a natural airflow that prevented stagnation and brought fresh air to the deepest chambers. These were not random holes, but strategically placed to utilize the principles of fluid dynamics, allowing warm air to rise and escape while drawing in cooler air from above. Engineering experts like John O. Woods point to the gravity-fed water channels and filtration methods as evidence of a profound hydrological expertise. They understood how to move and purify water using only the force of gravity and the porous properties of the rock itself. The entire city was a masterpiece of environmental control, using the volcanic tuff not just as a building material, but as a natural insulator that maintained a stable, comfortable temperature year-round. How did ancient planners devise such a sustainable, long-term habitat without any of our modern geological surveys or engineering software? The precision of the ventilation, the reliability of the water supply, and the sheer foresight in urban planning suggest this was not a desperate, reactive project. It feels like the application of a standardized system, a deep and possibly inherited knowledge of how to live in harmony with the Earth's hidden forces. This pushes us to a startling possibility that the builders of Derinkuyu were not just ingenious, but were working from a forgotten blueprint for survival, a science of the underground that we are only now beginning to appreciate. But the most profound mysteries are often sealed in stone and shadow. Deep beneath the sands of Saqqara lies the Serapeum, a silent necropolis that feels less like a tomb and more like a subterranean observatory. Here, in dimly lit corridors carved during the New Kingdom era, rest colossal boxes of polished granite, each one a single, massive slab weighing up to 100 tons. Their sheer scale is staggering, but it is their precision that truly defies explanation. The surfaces are flawlessly smooth, the corners sharp and perfectly square. The lid of each sarcophagus fits its base with a seam so tight, so exact, that not even a hair can slip between the stone. This is a level of craftsmanship that seems to belong to a different age entirely. How were these behemoths quarried, transported, and finished with such impossible accuracy using only copper chisels and stone hammers? The geometric perfection of their interiors suggests the use of advanced sawing and polishing techniques, a lost technology that allowed workers to achieve a mirror-like finish on one of the hardest stones on Earth. Yet the mystery deepens when you look beyond the stone itself to the stars. These enormous boxes are not placed at random. Their orientations align with celestial bodies like the star Sirius and the constellation Orion. Astronomer Giulio Magli argues these alignments were deliberate, a form of astro-architecture where the entire underground complex functioned as a cosmic clock. The heliacal rising of Sirius, which marked the annual, life-giving flood of the Nile, would have been tracked from within this stone chamber. The event that defined the Egyptian agricultural year was thus encoded in the very position of a 100-ton granite box in an underground tunnel. This is where science and spirituality become one. The symbolic carvings link the boxes to gods like Osiris, ruler of the afterlife, whose own mythic journey was mirrored in the stars. The Serapeum was not just a resting place for sacred bulls. It was a machine for connecting the earthly realm with the celestial order, a permanent record of cosmic cycles written in stone and alignment. What kind of knowledge allowed ancient engineers to harmonize monumental stonework with the precise movements of the heavens? And if this science of astro-architecture existed in Egypt, could its echoes be found in other underground temples across the world? A compass needle does not point north inside the Longyu caves. It spins, wobbles, and loses its way in the damp, subterranean air. This disorientation is your first clue that something unseen is at work within these hand-carved caverns in Zhejiang province. These are not natural formations, but a staggering artificial complex over 2,000 years old, a labyrinth of massive rooms and pillars all excavated from the sandstone by human hands. The sheer scale is overwhelming, with single chambers spanning thousands of square meters, yet the true mystery is etched into the walls themselves. They are covered from floor to ceiling in a uniform pattern of parallel chisel marks, a rhythmic, almost industrial texture that speaks of a disciplined, systematic workforce. Where is the debris from all that excavation? Not a single chip has ever been found. This points to a project of breathtaking organization and planning, a feat that feels less like primitive labor and more like a coordinated engineering operation. And then there are the magnetic fields. Researchers like Zhu Cheng have mapped these spaces and documented persistent anomalies. In specific chambers, magnetic readings fluctuate wildly, creating pockets of invisible energy that disrupt any magnetic instrument. This suggests the builders may have understood geomagnetic principles, perhaps intentionally embedding lodestone or selecting rock rich in magnetic minerals during construction. The walls themselves might have been designed to interact with the Earth's own magnetic poles, but the phenomenon does not stop there. The magnetic shifts appear to be linked to the cave's acoustics. In chambers with the strongest anomalies, sound behaves strangely, with echoes amplifying and certain frequencies resonating more powerfully. This creates a multisensory environment where audible vibration and invisible force are intertwined. Was this a deliberate design? Could these spaces have been used for divination, where a priest or shaman interpreted the wavering compass and the echoing chant as messages from the earth? Or was it a form of geomancy, a science of aligning human structures with the planet's hidden energy flows for harmony or healing? The precision of the tool marks suggests advanced drilling or cutting methods far beyond what we assume for that era. How did they know where to carve to create these specific magnetic and acoustic effects? The Longyu caves present a profound puzzle. one where architecture, sound, and magnetism fuse into a single, sophisticated technology. This points to a pattern emerging across the ancient world, a recurring theme of harnessing the unseen energies of the Earth itself. These twisting passages in the Peruvian highlands are a testament to ancient resilience. Chavan de Huanta, a labyrinthine temple complex dating back over 3,000 years, has survived countless violent earthquakes, not by chance but by design. Its builders possessed an empirical, almost intuitive understanding of seismic forces, engineering their subterranean world to flex and move with the Earth rather than fight against it. They constructed galleries and ducts using interlocking stones that shift and settle during a tremor, absorbing energy instead of fracturing. This is not crude masonry. It is a sophisticated application of physics, a form of ancient base isolation that modern engineers only developed in the last century. Seismology experts like Dr. Kim Malville point to the strategic use of counterweights and shock-absorbing materials packed between stones, which act like cushions to reduce structural stress. The builders even selected their materials with purpose, combining durable granite with more flexible limestone to create a composite structure that could withstand immense pressure. The complex ventilation shafts, which provided fresh air to the deep chambers, also functioned as pressure release valves, preventing destructive buildups of force during ground movement. Perhaps most astonishing is the alignment of the entire complex with the local fault lines. Instead of building away from the danger, the Chavan architects built with it, using the geology itself to channel and dissipate seismic energy. Look at the chamber housing the towering Lanzon monolith, a central deity figure that has remained perfectly stable for millennia despite the region's frequent quakes. Its enduring stability suggests the builders tested and refined their anti-seismic techniques over many generations, learning through observation and experience. What inspired such a proactive, brilliant approach to disaster mitigation? Was it born from repeated catastrophe, or was it part of a wider, sophisticated science of geomancy, a knowledge of how to harmonize human structures with the powerful, unseen currents of the living Earth? This drive to build not just for the present but for millennia to come hints at a civilization that viewed its relationship with the planet in a profoundly different way. The air inside the churches of Lalibela is cool and heavy with the scent of old stone and devotion. Descending into this subterranean holy city, carved from the volcanic rock in the 12th century, you are not just entering a place of worship, you are walking through a three-dimensional scripture. Every pillar, every window frame, every winding tunnel is a verse in a grand cosmological poem written in stone. The sheer ambition is breathtaking, with 11 monolithic churches hewn not from assembled blocks, but from the living rock of the earth itself. According to local belief, this impossible feat was accomplished with the direct assistance of angels, a divine intervention that seems almost necessary to explain the perfection on display. But look closer, and a different kind of intelligence emerges, one that wove scientific principles directly into the fabric of faith. The entire complex is laid out as a symbolic representation of Jerusalem, a new Jerusalem for a kingdom cut off from the Holy Land. This was not a random act of mimicry. Scholars like Dr. Richard Pankhurst point to the deliberate orientations of the churches, their alignments to celestial events, and the recurring presence of sacred geometry. The very proportions of the buildings appear to incorporate the Fibonacci sequence, a mathematical ratio found in the spiral of a nautilus shell and the arrangement of seeds in a sunflower. This is the language of nature itself, encoded into a place of prayer. The builders did not see a separation between the laws of the physical world and the mysteries of the divine. They saw them as one and the same. To construct this vision, workers first dug deep, wide trenches into the plateau, isolating massive blocks of stone. Then, like master sculptors seeing the form within the marble, they began carving downward, chiseling out intricate exteriors before hollowing out the vast interior spaces. This top-down construction required an unimaginable level of planning, for a single mistake in the initial phase would have ruined the entire church. The precision suggests the use of a master plan, a detailed blueprint that guided every cut, but the mysteries extend beyond the sunlit chapels. A hidden network of tunnels and drainage channels connects the churches, passages so dark and narrow they force you to move in a single file. Some of these subterranean pathways are believed to have functioned as primitive astronomical observatories. A shaft of light falling on a specific mark on a specific day could transform a dark corridor into a celestial calendar. The most iconic of these structures, the Church of St. George, is carved in the perfect shape of a cross, sunk deep into a pit. Its roof, a masterpiece of geometric symmetry, aligns with the rising sun on significant days like the solstices, flooding the interior with a beam of light that would have illuminated specific altars or carvings during holy ceremonies. This was astronomy in service of ritual, a way of tying the rhythm of worship to the grand clockwork of the heavens. How did a medieval society, working with simple tools, achieve such a profound synthesis of art, faith, and science? The answer may lie in a universal ancient practice, a science of encoding knowledge not in brittle books, but in the enduring language of architecture, ensuring its message would survive for millennia. Stepping from the bright, searing heat of the sick into the shaded forecourt of the Petra treasury is like walking into another world. The scorching desert air vanishes, replaced by a cool, dry stillness that seems to breathe from the rose-red stone itself. This iconic facade, carved directly into the cliff face by the Nabateans in the 1st century of the Common Era, is far more than a beautiful tomb. It is a masterpiece of environmental engineering, a space where the temperature remains remarkably constant throughout the blistering days and chilly nights of the Jordanian desert. This perfect stability is no accident. It is the result of a deep, applied knowledge of climatology, a passive solar design so effective it rivals modern green architecture. The treasury's thick sandstone walls act as a massive thermal battery, absorbing heat during the day and slowly releasing it throughout the night, smoothing out the extreme swings in temperature. Its precise orientation ensures the main facade is shaded for much of the day, minimizing direct solar heat gain. Environmental researchers like Dr. Lisa L. Robbins point to subtle, hidden vents and fissures within the rock that create gentle air currents. These natural convection currents draw cooler air from the lower chambers and expel warmer air upward, providing a constant, silent exchange that prevents the interior from ever becoming stagnant or overly warm. But the Nabatean genius extended beyond the building itself, integrating the entire landscape into their design. Sophisticated water conduit systems, carved into the surrounding rock faces, channeled occasional rainfall and controlled humidity levels, preventing the dampness that could undermine the stone. They selected this specific sandstone not just for its color, but for its high thermal mass, a property that allows it to store and release vast amounts of energy slowly. Even the intricate carvings on the facade may have served a dual purpose, with certain patterns and alignments potentially acting as solar markers to track the seasons, informing rituals and maintenance. How did a nomadic desert people develop such an intimate, scientific understanding of thermodynamics and microclimates? This was not a mere shelter from the sun. It was a carefully calibrated environment, a sanctuary of comfort achieved through a profound harmony with the natural world. This mastery of passive climate control, seen from the deserts of Jordan to the underground cities of Turkey, suggests a widespread, perhaps even shared, science of environmental adaptation. The faint green glow inside Pakal the Great's tomb is not a trick of the eyes. It is a whisper of light from the stone itself, a soft radiance that has endured for over 13 centuries in the heart of the Palenque pyramid. This 7th century Mayan ruler was laid to rest in a chamber so deep and dark that no torchlight could ever truly banish its shadows, yet the walls themselves provide their own ethereal illumination. Archaeologist Alberto Roslulia, who discovered this sealed crypt in the 1950s, was struck by the deliberate placement of minerals like jade and other phosphorescent stones within the masonry. These are not mere decorations. They are stones that absorb energy from light, however faint, and slowly release it as a gentle, persistent glow. This reveals a sophisticated grasp of chemistry and optics, a knowledge of how to harness the latent properties of the earth for both practical and profound purposes. In the absolute blackness of the tomb's passageways, this embedded light would have served as a ghostly guide, a permanent pathway for priests or a symbolic road for the soul of the king. But the meaning runs far deeper than simple wayfinding. In Mayan cosmology, jade was more than a precious stone. It was the very substance of life and rebirth. Its cool, green luminescence in the dark would have mirrored the cycle of the sun, which dies each night and is reborn at dawn, and perhaps even the shimmering path of the Milky Way across the night sky. The Maya sourced these specific minerals from distant, difficult mines, indicating that their selection was intentional and highly valued. The entire tomb is a masterpiece of precision stone fitting, ensuring that the chamber was airtight to preserve both the body and the delicate chemistry of the glowing stones. So how did they discover this phenomenon? Was it through generations of experimental science, testing different rocks in the darkness of their own sacred caves? Or was it an intuitive understanding that the boundaries between the physical and spiritual worlds were thin, and that certain stones held a piece of the sky or the essence of life within them? This interplay between material knowledge and spiritual belief points to a science that did not separate the two, but saw them as a single, unified truth, written in the quiet, enduring light of the earth. Deep in the Al-Huta caves of Oman, the constant drip of water is not a random sound. It is the measured heartbeat of an ancient clock. Within these vast limestone caverns, used by humans since prehistoric times, natural formations were subtly modified into sophisticated hydrological timekeepers. Stalactites were carefully shaped to control the drip rate of mineral-rich water into precisely placed pools below. The volume of water collected, or the time it took for a floating marker to rise, marked the passage of hours or even days. This was a clepsydra or water clock carved not from pottery or metal, but directly from the living rock of the earth itself. Historians of science such as Dr. James Evans see a remarkable parallel to the water clocks developed later in Greece, raising a fascinating question. Was this an example of cross-cultural knowledge spreading along ancient trade routes, or was it the independent discovery of a fundamental principle that the steady, predictable flow of water could measure the elusive passage of time? The ingenuity lies in the calibration. Builders would have painstakingly adjusted the size of the drip hole and the depth of the collection pool to account for seasonal changes in water pressure and evaporation rates, creating a remarkably reliable instrument. In certain echo chambers, the rhythmic dripping was amplified, transforming each drop into an audible time signal that resonated through the dark passages. This auditory component made the clock functional even in total darkness, a perpetual timepiece echoing in the subterranean world. The system's connection to the cosmos was equally deliberate. During the equinoxes, shafts of sunlight would penetrate deep into the cave, interacting with the water surfaces to create dazzling light patterns on specific markers, signaling a change of season. This fusion of light and water shows how acute observation of natural cycles was refined into a practical, elegant technology. What drove these early engineers to seek such precision underground? Was it to coordinate rituals, to manage agricultural cycles, or simply to impose human order on the vast, formless dark? The water clocks of Al-Huta are more than clever gadgets. They are remnants of a nascent science of chronometry, a desire to capture time itself using the most elemental of forces. This ancient quest to measure and understand time connects directly to the very purpose of the stars above and the stones below, a thread we will now follow to its astonishing conclusion. A single note rings out in the crypt beneath Rosslyn Chapel, a clear, resonant tone that seems to hang in the air long after the stone has been struck. This is not an echo, but a sustained frequency, a harmonic hum that you can feel in your teeth. Hidden below the chapel's famous carvings, the 15th century vaults are a carefully tuned instrument, a secret chamber of sound. Researchers like Stuart Mitchell have discovered that striking specific carved boxes and pillars produces not random noise, but distinct musical chords. These are not mere decorations, they are a permanent library of frequencies, etched into the very stone. The vibrations created by these stones are not arbitrary, they align with specific brainwave states, such as the alpha and theta rhythms associated with deep meditation, relaxation, and heightened focus. The builders selected their materials with incredible care, using different types of sandstone for different pillars based on their density and resonant qualities. The legendary apprentice pillar, with its intricately spiraling design, does not just tell a story, it sings one. When activated, it emits a complex set of vibrations that can physically calm the nervous system, reducing stress and slowing the heart rate. This suggests an intuitive, yet remarkably precise, grasp of biophysics. Geometric patterns carved around these resonant stones are not just artistic, they act as acoustic lenses, shaping and directing the sound waves to amplify their effect in certain areas of the vault. How did medieval stonemasons, working centuries before the science of acoustics was formally established, learn to engineer such specific biological responses? Were these chambers used in Masonic rituals or older therapies, a form of vibrational medicine where sound was the prescribed treatment? The very stones of Rosslyn Chapel seem to hold a forgotten prescription, a healing melody waiting to be heard. If sound could be carved into architecture to mend the mind and body, what other remedies might be encoded in the silent stones of other ancient temples? A single beam of light pierces the absolute darkness of a tomb that has been sealed for millennia. For 17 minutes each year, at the precise moment of the winter solstice sunrise, this golden shaft travels the length of a 60-foot stone passage to illuminate the central chamber of Newgrange. This is not a random act of nature. It is a feat of engineering and astronomy executed over 5,000 years ago, a celestial event captured in stone. The builders of this Neolithic monument in Ireland's County Meath constructed a roof box, a special window above the entrance, engineered with a precision that seems to defy their era. Professor Michael J. O'Kelly, who led the site's modern excavation, stressed that this alignment required an intimate, long-term knowledge of the sun's path. They would have needed to track its slow, southern crawl for generations, marking its lowest point on the horizon year after year to pinpoint the exact day of the solstice. How did they translate these observations into such a perfect architectural alignment? Likely using nothing more than wooden stakes and string. The entire structure is a testament to this advanced understanding. The passage itself is a masterpiece of corbelled vaulting, where each layer of stone slightly overlaps the one below, creating a stable, waterproof ceiling that has held for 50 centuries. The strategic placement of white quartzite stones around the entrance may have served a dual purpose, both symbolic and practical, possibly reflecting and amplifying the precious solstice light. Inside, the mysterious spiral carvings that cover the great curbstones are not just art. Some researchers propose that specific points and patterns within these spirals could represent solar cycles, like the 19-year metonic cycle of the Moon, encoding complex astronomical knowledge in a permanent public record. This was far more than a tomb. It was a cosmic clock and a communal cathedral. The sheer effort of its construction, requiring the movement of over 200,000 tons of stone by a society without wheels or metal tools, speaks to a project of profound social and spiritual importance. The annual 17-minute light show would have been a powerful, unifying ritual, a reaffirmation that the sun had been reborn and the cycle of life would continue. This merging of precise science with deep ritual fostered social cohesion, uniting the community under a shared understanding of the cosmos. Did this knowledge arise independently in the misty hills of Ireland, or was it part of a wider prehistoric science of the heavens, a universal language of stone and sky understood by cultures across the ancient world? The silent stones of Newgrange hold their secret, a testament to a vision that saw the sun not as a distant god, but as a partner in a grand, predictable dance. The material lining the Ravni tunnels in Bosnia is unnervingly uniform. This is not the chaotic, layered look of natural rock, but something far more deliberate. According to researcher Semir Osmanagic, these underground networks found near the enigmatic Visochka Hill contain blocks that defy conventional history. Their composition is consistent throughout, a mix of high-purity quartz and other aggregates bound together by a cement-like agent. This suggests a startling possibility that this is not carved stone, but an ancient form of high-tech concrete, a man-made geopolymer. If true, it means the builders possessed a sophisticated knowledge of chemistry and material science, potentially over 10,000 years ago. How does one make an artificial stone? The process begins with silicates, like the quartz sand found abundantly here, and alkaline activators, perhaps derived from plant ash or limestone. When mixed with water, a chemical reaction begins, a geopolymerization that creates a molecular chain far more durable than ordinary Portland cement. This slurry could have been poured into wooden molds to create the perfectly shaped blocks found in the tunnels. Then came the curing. To achieve its legendary strength, the material would need sustained heat. This was not a simple fire, but a carefully controlled baking process, possibly using channels of hot air or heated stones to slowly transform the wet mixture into a substance as hard as granite. The result is a material incredibly resistant to erosion and environmental stress, explaining why these tunnels have endured for millennia, but the design appears to go beyond mere durability. The high quartz content in the blocks is a key detail. Quartz is piezoelectric, meaning it generates a small electrical charge under pressure or vibration. Walls made from this material could theoretically interact with the Earth's natural energy fields, or even with sound. The tunnels themselves might have functioned as energy conduits or protective chambers, shielding inhabitants from radiation or seismic activity. The block's acoustic properties, perhaps resonating at specific frequencies, could have served spiritual purposes, turning the entire underground complex into a massive, tuned instrument. This is not primitive construction, it is multifunctional engineering. The existence of such an advanced composite in a period we consider prehistoric forces a difficult question. Were these techniques a local innovation, a flash of genius lost to time? Or are they a single, surviving piece of a global ancient science, a universal understanding of how to manipulate the very substance of the earth. The silent, artificial stone of the Ravni tunnels challenges not just a timeline, but our entire perception of what ancient humanity was capable of creating. Beneath the soaring Gothic arches of Chartres Cathedral, a deeper secret waits in the crypt. This 11th century subterranean chamber is more than a foundation. It is a node in a vast and invisible network. The air here feels different, charged with a subtle energy that some visitors describe as a palpable hum or a sudden, profound sense of peace. This is not a random sensation. Researchers like John Mitchell have long proposed that the cathedral was deliberately built atop a convergence of ley lines, hypothetical alignments of ancient sites, and powerful telluric currents, the natural electrical flows that course through the earth itself. The builders did not simply place stone upon stone. They aligned the entire structure with this hidden energy grid, tapping into the planet's own pulse. The crypt's labyrinthine paths mirror not just a spiritual journey, but also the map of geological faults deep below, channels where these earth energies are most concentrated. How did medieval architects without modern geological equipment identify these precise locations? They may have relied on the ancient practice of dowsing, using rods or pendulums to sense the subtle variations in the Earth's magnetic field and water flows, a skill that blended intuition with a practical science of perception. The materials themselves were chosen with purpose. The local limestone used throughout the construction is not inert. It possesses a slight piezoelectric quality, meaning it can generate a tiny electrical charge under pressure, potentially amplifying the very energies the builders sought to harness. The alignment of the crypt with solar and lunar paths further integrates cosmic rhythm with terrestrial power, creating a space where celestial and earthly forces meet. Look closely at the symbolic carvings that adorn even the lowest levels, the spirals and serpentine patterns. These are not mere decoration. They could be schematic diagrams, a sacred code mapping the flow of energy through the stones. Pilgrims for centuries have reported heightened spiritual awareness or sensations of warmth in specific spots, particularly near the ancient well dedicated to the Virgin. This was likely a powerful point of telluric activity, a place where the Earth's energy surged close to the surface, intentionally incorporated into the sacred space. This is geomancy in its purest form, the science of aligning human structures with the planet's hidden anatomy for spiritual enhancement and healing. How could such a precise understanding of Earth harmonics exist 1,000 years ago? The evidence at Chartres suggests this was not superstition, but a sophisticated, forgotten physics. And if one cathedral could be woven into this global energy grid, how many other temples from France to India were built as conscious receivers of the Earth's own silent, powerful song? The Mayan glyphs carved into the dark stone of Tikol's underground chambers are not mere decoration. They are a locked library, a complex code of astronomical events and mathematical truths waiting to be read. Deep within these classic period tunnels, beyond the Grand Pyramids, lie stelae and altars covered in intricate symbols that scholars such as Linda Scheel have painstakingly connected to an obsessive tracking of time. The Maya did not just observe the heavens, they quantified them, translating the majestic dance of planets into a precise numerical language. Their greatest intellectual leap was the conceptualization of zero, a placeholder that allowed for calculations of staggering scope. This was not abstract math, it was a practical tool for predicting the future. They calculated the synodic period of Venus with an accuracy that startles modern astronomers, knowing that its appearance as the morning or evening star would cycle every 584 days. This knowledge was encrypted in the stone, with specific glyph sequences and numerical values corresponding to these celestial intervals. A passage aligning with the rising of Venus was not an accident. It was a deliberate architectural marker. This encrypted data dictated the timing of sacred rituals, the planting of crops, and the coronation of kings, weaving scientific observation directly into the fabric of power and survival. Why go to such lengths to hide this knowledge underground? This was not merely record-keeping, it was the safeguarding of a civilization's operational system. The integration of myth with science provided a dual layer of meaning, where a story about hero twins defeating gods of the underworld could also be a metaphorical representation of an eclipse cycle. The encryption ensured that only the elite priesthood, the true scientists of their day, could access the formulas that governed their world. This points to a broader, more unsettling tradition across the ancient world, from the geometric codes of Kailasa to the acoustic blueprints of the Hypogeum. Were these different cultures all practicing a form of science so powerful, so central to their identity, that they felt compelled to protect it from oblivion by carving it into the very bones of the earth? The silent glyphs of Tikal challenge us to become decipherers, to look past the surface of myth and see the precise, encrypted science that lay beneath. The desert above is a furnace, but the world beneath Shushta is a cool, flowing artery of life. In the 3rd century of the Common Era, Sassanid engineers performed a miracle of hydraulic science, transforming a barren Iranian landscape into a lush, subterranean agricultural heartland. This was not magic, but the application of a profound ecological intelligence, a system so advanced it sustained a civilization for centuries. The entire complex, as described by historian Arthur Upham Pope, is a masterpiece of gravity-fed design. At its heart are the kanats, miles of underground channels that tap into distant aquifers high in the mountains. These were not simple ditches, but precisely sloped tunnels, carved with an exacting grade that allowed water to flow for dozens of miles using nothing but the relentless pull of the earth. By keeping the water deep underground, the system solved the desert's greatest threat, evaporation. Every precious drop was shielded from the searing sun, arriving at its destination cool, clean, and ready to nourish the land. But the water's journey was just beginning. As it reached the cliff face overlooking the city, it was channeled into a series of underground milling complexes. Here, the force of the falling water was harnessed to turn massive stone grinders, pulverizing grain for the entire population within caverns carved from the living rock. The constant, thunderous hum of these mills was the sound of a society powered by the earth itself. This intricate network demanded more than just engineering brilliance. It required a sophisticated social contract. The maintenance of the kanats was a communal duty, with a strict system of water rights and shared labor ensuring that every farmer, from the largest landowner to the smallest plot holder, received their fair share. This was a science of survival built on cooperation. The system's crowning achievement, the Band-e-Kaisar Dam, stands as a monument to cross-cultural exchange. Built with the expertise of captured Roman engineers, it fused Persian hydrological knowledge with Roman arch construction, creating a structure that was both a bridge and a water regulator. What inspired such a collaborative, innovative project in an age of empires and conflict? Was this simply a local solution to a water shortage, or does it reflect a deeper, more universal understanding, a legacy of an ancient global science that taught humanity how to live in harmony with a harsh planet? The answer may lie not in the water, but in the food it made possible. Your own voice comes back to you changed, twisted into something unfamiliar in the dark of the Tarxian temples. Beneath the more famous ruins on Malta, the underground extensions hold a soundscape that feels deliberately disorienting, a Neolithic laboratory of the mind. Built over 5,000 years ago, these chambers are not passive spaces. They are psychoacoustic instruments, The corbelled roofs and carefully placed niches are not random architectural choices. They are precision tools for manipulating human perception. Acoustic archaeologist Igor Riznikov has mapped these spaces, finding that the builders used the reflective properties of limestone to their full advantage. The stone itself acts as a natural amplifier, catching whispers and shaping them into resonant frequencies that fill the entire chamber. An altar is not just a place for offerings, it becomes a focal point for these converging sound waves, a sonic epicenter where the physical vibration is most intense. This was likely the heart of the ritual where a priest or shaman would stand, their voice transformed by the architecture into an otherworldly force. The integration with lunar cycles suggests these ceremonies were timed for maximum effect, perhaps when the moon's pull altered the very atmosphere, subtly changing how sound traveled through the dense air. In certain rooms, the interplay of echoes from opposite walls creates a phenomenon known as binaural beats. This occurs when two slightly different sound frequencies are presented to each ear, and the brain perceives a third rhythmic pulse. This phantom beat is a powerful tool capable of guiding brainwaves into the theta state, a condition of deep meditation, vivid imagery, and trance. How did a Stone Age culture without written language or complex instruments discover how to build a machine for the mind? Was it through millennia of accidental observation in natural caves, noticing how specific chambers made them feel? Or was this a deliberate, passed-down science of consciousness, a knowledge that architecture could be a direct interface with the human psyche? This is not just clever building, it is evidence of a prehistoric cognitive science, an understanding that the mind could be shaped, guided, and even healed through the masterful application of physics. The carvings on the pillars seem to writhe in the flickering torchlight, a menagerie of stone scorpions, foxes, and birds frozen in an eternal dance. Deep within the oldest known temple on Earth, Göbekli Tepe, these T-shaped monoliths guard a secret far older than writing or the wheel. Dating back to an astonishing 9,600 years before the Common Era, this subterranean complex in Turkey predates Stonehenge by 6 millennia. Its builders were not farmers living in cities, but hunter-gatherers, people we have long imagined as preoccupied with mere survival. Yet here, they carved and raised 16-ton pillars into precise circles, burying their creations in the earth after use. The key to their purpose is written in a language of stone and shadow. Archaeologist Klaus Schmidt proposed that these enclosures were not just temples, but the world's first astronomical observatories. The animal symbols are not random, they are a celestial code. A carved fox might represent a specific star, while a scorpion could map an entire constellation, turning each pillar into a permanent star chart. The arrangement of these pillars within the circular enclosures is meticulously planned. Their positions align with the rising and setting points of the sun during the solstices and equinoxes. On the dawn of the summer solstice, the sun would have risen directly over a specific pillar, its light pouring into the central space to mark the longest day of the year. This was a colossal calendar carved from the bedrock, a way for an entire culture to synchronize its rituals with the cosmos. But how did they track these cycles with such accuracy? The answer lies in the simplest of tools, shadows and stakes. By observing the changing length and direction of a pillar's shadow throughout the year, these early scientists could pinpoint the solstices, the days when the sun appears to stand still. They transformed the temple floor into a giant sundial, using the architecture itself as the gnomon that cast the time-telling shadow. This knowledge was not cold or detached, it was woven into the very fabric of their myths and identity. The story of the fox stealing the sun might not be just a tale, but a narrative map of a planetary conjunction or a comet's appearance. The communal effort required speaks volumes, a society pooling its collective memory over generations to build a permanent record of the sky in stone. What does this do to our timeline of human progress? It shatters it. It suggests that the impetus for civilization, for large-scale cooperation and settled life, was not agriculture, but a shared scientific desire to understand the heavens. The very first scientists may have been stargazers, and their first laboratories were these silent, underground chambers. Even in the deepest winter, a persistent warmth radiates from the stone floor of Circular Cave. This massive lava tube in Iceland, formed by fire and inhabited by Vikings in the 9th century, is a natural sanctuary heated from below by the planet's own blood. The early settlers did not merely take shelter here from the brutal cold, they actively engineered the space to amplify its geothermal gifts. Historians like John Stephenson point to the deliberate stone walls they built inside the caverns, not as defensive structures but as thermal banks. These low barriers trapped rising heat from the ground, creating pockets of comfortable, stable temperature in a landscape where survival was a constant battle against the elements. They understood the principle of convection, carving strategic vents in the upper sections of the cave to draw out stale air and allow fresh, cooler air to cycle in, preventing the space from becoming stifling. This was more than clever camping. It was a sophisticated application of geothermal climatology. The adaptations extended beyond simple shelter. Just outside many of these caves, they channeled water from nearby hot springs into man-made pools for bathing, creating the first geothermal spas. The steam rising from these pools would have been a visible testament to the power they were harnessing, but the relationship with this force was not purely practical. The cave's very name, Circular, means the Cave of Surtur, the primordial fire giant of Norse mythology who would one day engulf the world in flames. This was not a random association. To live here was to dwell in the domain of a god, to borrow power from the source of all creation and destruction. Artifacts found within, from fragments of smelted metal to ritualistic offerings, suggest these spaces were used for both metalworking and sacred ceremonies. The intense, readily available heat from volcanic fissures made smelting ore far more efficient, while the ever-present warmth and the cave's dramatic acoustics provided a powerful setting for communing with the gods. How did a people fresh from their longships learn to tap so directly into the Earth's internal energy? This was not a passive discovery, but an active, brilliant collaboration with the planet's most volatile forces. It warms us to a profound possibility that this Icelandic ingenuity was not an isolated phenomenon, but a local expression of a wider, forgotten science of energy harvesting, a universal understanding of how to draw sustenance directly from the living Earth. A petroglyph of a giraffe does not merely mark the presence of an animal in the Tassili Enaja caves. In the heart of the Algerian Sahara, this ancient carving is a beacon. It points toward a hidden oasis, a life-giving secret etched into the stone by Neolithic navigators over 6,000 years ago. These subterranean galleries are not just art, they are a sophisticated, multi-layered guidance system for surviving one of the most extreme environments on Earth. The caves themselves, carved by wind and water, provided natural waypoints along the vast, empty caravan routes. Within their cool, shaded interiors, travelers would have found more than shelter from the relentless sun. They found a permanent library of survival data. Researchers like Henry Lote documented how specific animal figures, such as the giraffe with its long neck, often indicated the direction to the nearest water source. A cluster of dots carved beside a bovine might represent the number of days' journey to the next safe haven. This was a cartography of necessity, where art and science were inseparable. The knowledge extended far beyond simple pictograms. The so-called round head figures, with their enigmatic, featureless forms, are often positioned in tunnels that align with specific celestial events. On the night of a lunar standstill, a shaft of moonlight would illuminate one of these figures, signaling a time to depart or marking a seasonal change in the weather patterns. The entire network was calibrated with the heavens. The desert sky, free of light pollution, was their chart. They used the constant, predictable rotation of the constellations to navigate the featureless dunes at night, avoiding the deadly heat of the day. Certain stars, like the bright circle of the Pleiades, were carved onto the cave ceilings directly above passages that led to the most reliable oases. This integration of astronomy with geology created a fail-safe system. If the stars were obscured by a sandstorm, a traveler could rely on the subtle geological markers, the shape of a dune or the type of rock formation, that were also encoded in the surrounding petroglyphs. How did this knowledge arise? It was born from generations of meticulous observation, where a single misread symbol could mean death. The precision of these subterranean maps suggests a standardized language of navigation, a science of wayfinding that was passed down and refined over centuries. Could this intricate fusion of star chart, water map, and geological survey be seen as a prehistoric global positioning system? It functioned in exactly the same way, using a fixed network of coordinates, both terrestrial and celestial, to guide a user precisely to their destination. This ancient art of navigation, carved in stone and written in starlight, reveals a mind that saw the entire landscape as a living, breathing map. A recipe for perfume is carved into damp clay, a set of instructions waiting underground for 2,700 years. Deep within the library vaults of Nineveh, the Assyrian king Ashurbanipal amassed not just histories and myths, but meticulous chemical formulas. These cuneiform tablets, studied by experts like Simo Parpola, reveal a world where the subterranean chamber was a laboratory and the scribe was an experimental chemist. They did not merely mix ingredients, they systematized them, recording precise processes for creating vibrant glass, purifying precious metals, and distilling powerful medicinal essences from plants. This was not magic, it was applied science. The key to their success was control, especially over heat. Kilns were not simple fires, they were carefully designed ovens built to maintain specific temperatures for hours, even days. A recipe for a durable pottery glaze would demand a sustained, medium heat to fuse the minerals properly, a process requiring constant supervision and adjustment of the fuel. Distillation was another sophisticated technique. They would heat aromatic plants with water in a sealed vessel, channeling the steam through a cooled tube where it condensed back into a liquid, capturing the pure, concentrated essence of the flower. This is the same fundamental principle used in modern chemistry labs and oil refineries today, but the science was woven with symbolism. Specific elements were assigned divine attributes. Lead might be associated with the god of the underworld, while gold was connected to the sun. This was not superstition, it was a framework for understanding the hidden properties of matter, a belief that physical transformation was linked to spiritual change. The results of this fusion were remarkably practical. They developed eternal inks that have survived millennia and pottery glazes so resilient they still gleam today. How did they record their failures and successes? These clay tablets are a permanent log of trial and error, a cumulative body of knowledge that was likely traded and refined across empires from Egypt to Mesopotamia. This systematic, recorded experimentation in underground vaults makes a compelling case that the roots of modern chemistry are not in medieval alchemy, but right here in the silent chemical libraries of the ancient world. The darkness inside the Aokigahara lava tubes is not an absence of light, but a presence that presses in on your senses. Formed by the violent eruptions of Mount Fuji over 1,000 years ago, these winding subterranean tunnels possess a profound, almost unnerving silence. The volcanic rock absorbs sound, creating a vacuum of noise that can distort your sense of time and place, leading to deep disorientation. This was not a place to be feared, but a space to be mastered. For centuries, Buddhist ascetics and samurai warriors sought out these tubes for severe rites of passage and meditation. Cultural historians like Carmen Blacker documented how these individuals understood the principles of environmental psychology long before the term existed. They utilized the absolute darkness as a tool for sensory deprivation, stripping away external stimuli to force a confrontation with the inner self. In this void, the mind's own chatter becomes the only sound, and the practitioner must learn to quiet it. The acoustic properties of the porous basalt further enhance this introspection. A single, whispered prayer would not echo, but would be swallowed by the stone, making the act of speaking an intensely personal, internal event. This geological stability was crucial, providing a safe, secluded chamber for profound mental and spiritual work, insulated from the world above. Legends speak of monks spending weeks in these tubes for Zen practices, using the unyielding silence and darkness to break down the ego and achieve enlightenment. This was more than solitude, it was a deliberate, architectural use of nature for mental discipline. The lava tubes were a natural laboratory for the human psyche. How did these ancient cultures so intuitively design experiences for personal transformation? They recognized that specific environments could trigger specific states of consciousness. By choosing a space that naturally induced sensory deprivation and introspection, they were applying a raw, powerful form of psychological science. They were using the earth itself as a tool to reshape the mind. The scent of ancient fire still clings to the stone, a ghost of smoke and molten metal. Deep within the labyrinthine tunnels of Great Zimbabwe, hidden beneath the iconic stone walls, lie workshops that thrummed with industrial activity over 1,000 years ago. Here, in the 11th century, African metallurgists did not simply work with metal, they mastered it. Archaeologists like Peter Garlick have uncovered a sophisticated subterranean industry, complete with furnaces built into the earth, intricate clay molds, and a network of air vents that transformed these chambers into high-temperature forges. This was not a casual craft, it was a science. The secret to their success was a profound understanding of airflow. They used drum bellows made from animal skins and clay pots to force oxygen into the furnace heart. This wasn't just blowing on a fire, it was a precise calibration, raising the heat to temperatures exceeding 1,200 degrees Celsius, hot enough to separate pure iron from raw ore and to melt glittering gold for royal adornments. The artifacts tell a story of both war and wealth. From these underground halls came finely balanced spearheads, their edges hardened through a process of repeated heating and hammering, and exquisite gold jewelry, crafted using the lost wax technique to create intricate, one-of-a-kind pieces. But why go underground? Secrecy was surely part of it. By concealing their most advanced techniques beneath the earth, these master smiths protected the formulas that gave their kingdom a military and economic edge. The control over temperature also allowed for sophisticated alloying, mixing different metals to create tools that were stronger, more durable, and more valuable. This specialized craftsmanship fueled vast trade networks, with Zimbabwean iron and gold becoming coveted commodities that connected interior Africa to the Swahili coast and beyond. What inspired such a concentrated hub of innovation? It points to a shared, almost universal ancient science of materials, a deep, empirical knowledge of how to coax potential from the very elements of the earth. This drive to transform raw stone into gleaming metal, hidden from sight, may be one of the most powerful legacies of our forgotten past. The air inside the Ajanta caves carries the faint, ghostly scent of ancient earth and pigment. On the walls, a vibrant garden blooms in eternal silence, a subterranean pharmacy painted with meticulous care over 2,000 years ago. These are not mere decorations, they are a visual encyclopedia of medicinal botany, a fusion of art, science, and faith carved into the volcanic rock. Each fresco is a lesson, a preserved fragment of empirical knowledge passed down through generations of Buddhist monks. You can see the aloe vera plant, its thick, serrated leaves depicted with such clarity that its use for soothing burns and wounds is unmistakable. Another painting might detail the neem tree, illustrating its application for skin ailments, while another shows tulsi or holy basil, revered for its healing properties. This was a sacred space that doubled as a living medical textbook, where the act of painting was a method of preserving vital, life-saving information for the community. But the true genius of Ajanta lies in its invisible architecture, the systems that supported this knowledge. Art historian Walter Spink points to the sophisticated network of hidden reservoirs and channels carved deep into the cave floors. These were not just for drinking water, they were a subterranean irrigation system designed to cultivate the very herbs depicted on the walls in secluded, humid courtyards. The builders harnessed natural light with strategic openings and light wells, illuminating these hidden gardens to sustain plant growth far from the sun-drenched world outside. This was a fully integrated ecosystem, a monastic complex where healing was a spiritual and practical pursuit. The symbolic representations in the art deepen this connection, where a painting of the Buddha delivering a sermon might be surrounded by a halo of medicinal plants, linking enlightenment directly with physical and mental well-being. How did they achieve such a seamless integration of botany and sacred architecture? This was more than a temple. It was a sanctuary for holistic health, an early form of pharmaceutical science where the line between a prayer and a prescription was beautifully blurred. The monks of Ajanta understood that to heal the spirit, one must also tend to the body, and they encoded this profound, holistic science into the very stone and pigment of their underground world. The stone procession of gods and demons stretches for over 160 feet, a frozen tug of war using a massive serpent as their rope. This is the churning of the ocean of milk, a breathtaking bas-relief in the dim galleries of Angkor Wat, but it is far more than a mythic scene. The rhythmic pull of these celestial beings mirrors the gravitational dance of the heavens, a symbolic representation of an eclipse cycle or the predictable oscillation of planets. In the 12th century, the Khmer Empire did not build a mere temple. They constructed a three-dimensional cosmological textbook, its walls encoding a profound understanding of the universe. Scholar Elena Manika's analysis reveals that the entire layout is a scaled model of a cosmic cycle, the 4 ages of Yuga time. The proportions are deliberate, with the central tower's distance from key gateways corresponding to significant astronomical periods, turning the visitor's physical journey through the complex into a walk through cosmic time. The builders integrated observable phenomena with deep philosophy, where the story of Vishnu preserving the cosmic order was also a lesson in celestial mechanics. Look at the intricate carvings of devatas, the celestial dancers. They are not placed at random. Their positions and the number of their adornments often align with lunar cycles and the movements of Venus, transforming each figure into a data point in a vast stone spreadsheet of the sky. How could artisans with chisels achieve such a precise fusion of art and science? This was not guesswork, but the application of a standardized sacred geometry, a shared language of measurement and meaning. The subterranean galleries served as both a university and a cathedral, where initiates could learn the laws of the cosmos by walking past scenes that illustrated them. The churning of the ocean of milk in this light becomes a dynamic chart of orbital resonance, showing how opposing forces in the solar system create a stable, repeating rhythm. This final Cambodian mystery weaves together every thread we have followed, from the acoustic science of Malta to the astro-architecture of Egypt. It presents a compelling answer that a universal ancient science did exist, not as a single, lost technology, but as a shared human endeavor to understand our place in the cosmos, a knowledge so vital it was carved in stone to echo through the ages. 25 underground temples, each one a silent testament to a forgotten science, now form a single, undeniable pattern. From the resonant chambers of Malta to the cosmic carvings of Cambodia, we have traced the contours of a knowledge that wove acoustics, astronomy, and engineering into a unified whole. These are not isolated curiosities, but chapters in a global story, a story that challenges the very timeline of human innovation. Our ancestors were not merely building structures, they were encoding a profound understanding of the universe, using stone as their permanent library. They understood how sound could heal the mind, how the stars could mark the seasons, and how the earth itself could provide endless energy and stability. This was not magic, but a sophisticated science, one that saw no separation between the spiritual and the physical world. The implications for our own time are staggering. Imagine sustainable cities built with the passive climate control of Petra, or medical therapies that harness resonant frequencies like those in Rosslyn Chapel. Our modern approach to archaeology itself could be transformed, using sensitive acoustic and magnetic mapping to listen to these sites in ways we never have before. The true lesson of these underground temples is not just about correcting the past, but about inspiring our future. History is not confined to the brittle pages of books. It is carved in the enduring stone beneath our feet, waiting for us to read its language. If this journey into the depths of ancient wisdom has sparked your curiosity, consider subscribing for more explorations into the hidden corners of medieval history. Share your own thoughts on these enigmatic temples in the comments below. The conversation is just beginning, and together we can continue unraveling the profound secrets of our past.